podcast is back, so let's go. For years, I have been doing mic checks like this. 019er, this is Foxtrot 3. I'm on approach to runway 3 left. I am weapons hot, approaching 57, flaps up. We are down, go weapons hot, approach at will. Been talking like that, military style. I don't know anything about the military or landing or anything like that, but that's how I mic check. And so I have a friend who's an actual Navy SEAL. So now I go to him all the time like, 57, I'm releasing in, going hot. We are 3-7 clicks to target. Please advise your position. So I do that all the time to him. So finally goes, stop saying that. Never say that again. That's not what you do in the field. Like when we're in the field and we're approaching a real target, all we do is we go 2. And then the guy who's like knows what he's doing, he replies, and then I'll just reply, green. And that's all we do. Stop saying, target, red niner, this is 57, runway 5, we are weapons hot, approaching dark. Stop saying all that. That's not what professionals do. I thought about that. It's the same thing for pitch anything, for pitch. I bet the pitch that I give is 95% shorter than the one than you give. I'm just out there going 1, green, 7, and the checks. That's what we're here to talk about. Let's make it shorter, funner. Let's make it more interesting and stop being Navy SEAL. All right. Hey, I'm Oren Klaff. This is the Pitch Anything podcast, and we are back. If you're interested in raising capital, if you read Pitch Anything, a lot of salespeople love it, but it's really about raising capital. Capital is really selling the stock of a company for money. Money is really the most high-profile commodity that is transactional in everything. So if you know how to buy and sell money, you can sell anything. We talk a lot about money here. I have been busy raising a 10-year-old. My 10-year-old is now a hockey player. He's been playing hockey for 8 years. Since he was 2, he's now got on a development team, a AAA development team, and he is on his way. I've been doing a couple large deals, getting myself settled, and so having fun. But it is time, because of the mess that I see everybody getting themselves in, to get Pitch Anything back on the airway. I was driving home one day, and as I said, I have a little hockey player, and I said, hey, we need to get him more ice time. We live in Southern California where there's no ice. We need more ice time. See the logic there? I have to build a hockey rink attached to my house. So I undergo those plans, but there's only one problem, is if I say to my wife, hey, I'm going to build a hockey rink and attach to our house, it's going to be a 100% no-go. So I kind of abandoned those plans, but she went on vacation for a week, in the shower, taking a hot shower. And do you know how all these great ideas come to you in a hot shower? And I go, boom, I'm going to build it. She's going to love it. So I hire some contractors. I dig out our entire side yard from side to side. I order a hockey rink, shipped in stat. The contractors dig this giant hole. It's like 4 feet deep, and they fill it with whatever, 2 tons of gravel. Then they fill it with sand, put concrete down, and then they put plywood down. They build a wall, and then the hockey rink goes on top of it. The walls come in, and a hockey rink exists. And I'm like, look what I've done. I even helped build it. And she came home, and she was pissed. It's just one of those things you cannot pitch, like attaching a hockey rink to your house, and give it that's where she used to have her parties and her tables and the ladies of La Jolla and everything. I think she's most mad that I built it edge to edge, so there's no room left at all. Gardeners have to go through the front of the house and walk through the house with the blowers and the gardening equipment to get to the backyard because of the hockey rink. But anyway, that was a while ago, and now she's pretty happy, and our son plays on it. He's a great hockey player, but there's some things you cannot pitch, like building an ice rink. All right, so the things you can pitch are deals. I funded a deal, $20 million, about last year. I think what's interesting about that is the guy who I brought that, so I found the deal, I put the deal together, I organized the deal, I negotiated all the parties in the deal, I ran the spreadsheets, I did the analytics, internally, we wrote the business plan, we got everybody in. And then I took that deal out, and very quickly somebody saw wow, this is an amazing deal, and they put $20 million in. That guy is gonna make $100 million on the back of that work that I did. And I'm like, again? I'm going to make another billion-dollar family office $100 million. How many times am I going to do this in my career, is make somebody else $100 million? And I'll tell you, this is kind of how it works, unfortunately. A couple years ago, met a guy, became really great friends with him. We talked every day, 2-3 times a day, for an entire year. while he was selling his company. Became friends, our kids became friends. Fantastic relationship that I relied on and was really nice and everything. Sold his company, but definitely we talked about it all the time as he was selling his company. It was a big part of the process. And after that company was sold and the deal transacted, remember, I talked to this person 2-3 times a day for more than a year. It's 2 times, 360, 3 times, 1,000 times. Imagine talking to someone 1,000 times over a year, in which 50% of that conversation is about the sale of their company. And then that company is sold. What an amazing friendship. I talked to that guy another 6 times in my entire life. So you're like, wow, Oren, you need to pick better friends or better partners or better whatevers. Except for this has happened 3 or 4 times. Once you accompany someone on this $100 million journey and they get this transaction, they will move sideways or to another elevation of friends or colleagues or business partners or whatever, and leave you behind. The solution to this is very simple. Pick better friends. The solution to this is obvious. It's just make $100 million for yourself. So that relationship, that situation really spurred me on to say to myself, announce, both to myself and to the world, I'm going to add $100 million to my own net worth. I am not going to just find deals, originate deals, put the deal together, underwrite it, make everything work, and then just take it to someone else, right? Look, I make good money when I do that. Like, I'm not saying it's a charity. Just take it to someone else, and boom, they're snapping $100 million onto their already billion-dollar pile of cash and equity. So I just announced, first to myself and then to the world, I'm going to add $100 million to my own. And I can tell you right now, I'm up $25 million into that trade. I'm about 2 years into it, and I'm on plan to do it. So if you want to know why in the world you should hang out here, who needs another podcast? Nobody, except for this one. If you want to join me on the journey of exactly how I'm adding $100 million to my net worth, I'm about 25% of the way accomplished in that journey up on paper, and I'm just doing it step by step using the Pitch Anything method, nothing that you haven't read in the book. I can just explain to you what I'm doing. As I said to myself, hey, I'm going to add $100 million to my net worth. Now, okay, what's the plan? I might be in a better position than a lot of people, because when I go out and say, hey, I'm going to capitalize something that's that big and that fast and have that much of an economic result, I need a partner. So where does Oren Klaff get a partner? I need somebody overseas. Why? It's just so incredibly difficult for an overseas company to come to America and run pitch anything level game. Run game at the level that I'm doing it, at the precision that I'm doing it, at the breadth that I'm doing it, with the brand that I have. It's just too difficult for them. So I can talk to some people and offer them the U.S. Here's what I'm selling you, Mr. Foreign Company, the United States. How would you like presence in the United States at the level that I do it, right? And so I talked to 3 companies, and one of them a $500 million company. We really would love to have a footprint in the United States. So now, boom, I snap in a Lego piece, which is a big, giant partner that is not a USA conversant. So I learned this sort of the opposite. I don't want to get too far into this, but I got hired by so many venture funds to help them. This is really where I learned this lesson of go to an international. I get hired by these venture funds. These are guys in Palo Alto and Atherton. They graduated from Yale, Harvard, MIT, Stanford, and they already have a venture fund in which they funded it with $80 million, and their goal is to reach 150. So they hire me to finish that last 3%, the hardest 3%, right, is to finish raising an $80 million fund to $150 million. With the smartest people in the world, working as hard as they can. They're geographically in that ecosystem of Palo Alto and Atherton, and they're like, hey, we've run out of steam raising money. You come in and finish the job for us. It's like the hardest work in the world. If a guy with 180 IQ who graduated MIT, who lives in Palo Alto, can't finish up that fund, right? Now I have to do it? Oh my God. So I found this incredible partner in Italy. Engineering firm, they own an industry, they have a very sophisticated IP, and we did a deal together, and I said, I'm gonna bring your IP and your technology and your latest stuff to the United States and run that deal. So that's the deal I'm gonna be talking about here, and that's the building a $1 billion asset with that. And so this is what a lot of this podcast is gonna cover, that journey, and that is going to be fun. So what has changed since I talked to you guys last? Oh my God. Obviously we had the pandemic, and that changed a lot. The biggest thing is the unicorn factory closed down. So this thing that said, hey, I'm gonna start a company and I'm gonna get, I don't know, $500,000 angel capital or seed capital from someone. And then I'm going to build it up a little bit. And then I'm going to get some early venture, late seed. So I get $2 million of late seed. Great. And then I build another thing. Now I'm going to go get some early venture. I get some early venture capital, right? And that venture capital gets me some customers and some software, something else. And now I get like maybe Series A2 venture capital, right? And that helps me, continue, do some marketing, continue finding product to market, and expand my team. Now I've got an expanded team, and I've got a valuation that is, say, like maybe $35, $40 million. Now I move up to the next part of the unicorn factory, which is Series B. Then the Series B money comes in, and now I scale, but I'm still losing money, right? And now the job of the Series C to scale faster, harder, refine the team, get, a 50, 60, $80 million of capital in, move the valuation to $400 million, and start thinking about a private equity sale, right? Private equity comes in, and they buy the company, and then think about, hey, how do we turn it into a public unicorn? They mature it so that whole thing shut down and is not producing companies anymore. So what does that mean? Like when people talk about like, hey, I'm going to get venture capital, the reason I call that the unicorn factory, because nobody in that seed plus, venture A, venture B plus, B round plus, C round. Nobody is building a company with any of those rounds. All they're doing is adding a couple Lego pieces and then shifting it down in the manufacturing line. So when the public markets stopped working, and then when private equity stopped working, and then Series C stopped doing Series Cs, right, and then push on Bs stopped happening. So if Bs stopped happening, the A3s stopped happening. Silicon Valley Bank crashed, First Republic Bank crashed, FTX crashed, everybody pulled back from early, the whole thing shut down. Nobody is going to help you bake that cake. You have to actually build a real company. You're not going to be able to go into this unicorn factory, and get all these like snap together financing Lego pieces on a money-losing deal. That's why in my deal, like the first year, there's no amount of time of losing money. The second we turn it on, I project that we will do $30 million of bookings the first year with $10 million of EBITDA. No years of losing money, no years of trying to get customers. That's a real deal because my partner is a $500 million company. So the unicorn factory is closed. You can't build these companies anymore by snapping together these financial Lego pieces. You have to try and build a real company. So that's changed. The unicorn factory is closed. Features and benefits selling is dead. If you sell features, benefits, value proposition, I don't think that works anymore. So I've changed our model, and I've been going through the model into supply and demand. Here's a way to think about it. In the United States, I worked on a power deal, a couple months ago. Here's what I learned. In the United States, we have a 50-year-old power grid. In California, the 48 gigawatts or whatever that the system can produce is completely peaked out in the summer. Rivians, the Cybertrucks, the Teslas, the BMWs, so all those things are sucking up power, right? California does not have any more power. In the United States, a 50-year-old power grid, so what? How are we going to power the electric vehicles and artificial intelligence with a 50-year-old power grid that is already peaked out? Not only that, we have been suppressing the supply of power here in the United States. So we've shut down drilling or made drilling incredibly difficult, put all these ESG requirements on companies, or at least shareholders have, if not the regulatory requirements. So ESG requirements, we have, obviously sanctioned Iran and have those issues with Iran. We have sanctioned Russia. We have strained relations with the other, suppliers of energy. And so in the United States, we have suppressed the supply for 20 years. Now we're increasing the demand of energy with both the electric vehicles and AI. We're going to get into AI is straining the ability to provide power to, all the AI chips and the computers that use the AI chips and all the AI applications. That power has to come from somewhere, more strain on the power grid. So the bottom line is you have a huge supply and demand imbalance. And that is the key to the next generation of sales, next generation of pitching, the next generation of closing deals. People who are able to tap into a supply and demand imbalance and explain it will be making the easy sales, getting the high margin, and having the short sales cycle. The deal that I'm doing with the Italian company, right? The product they have in the United States, there is more demand than supply. So that makes pitching a lot easier, right? When you step into a supply and demand imbalance. So, if you want lesson one in the new pitch anything era is, instead of focusing on the features and benefits and value proposition of my product, Zig Ziglar style, does my product, does my service, does the thing I'm communicating have an actual economic situation where there is more demand than supply? Now we can do some work. If it's not, there's ways to change that, but I'd be happy to hear from you guys. But that's the pitch that we're gonna be focusing on. Is there more demand than supply? And then do I have a jaw-dropping value proposition that steps into more demand than supply, right? So the guys now who are able to get energy or power, we're going to step back into nuclear. So we're going to talk a lot about power because it helps you understand the supply-demand imbalance. And by the way, if you don't understand power, you don't understand our economy. You don't understand what regulations are coming in. You don't understand what's going to drive businesses. You don't understand which businesses are going to be on cycle. You don't understand where the most amount of money is going to come in. You don't understand who's going to be flush with cash, who's going to be a buyer. Power is everything, right? Every time that we have surged as a civilization, it's because we found this sort of fresh source of power, right? We got fire, and everything surged forward as a civilization when we were able to reliably produce fire. Then we were able to produce heat and steam, right, as a power source. Now we got rail, but I'm not an expert economist, and I'm riffing off the top of my head. But I think then we got steam, and then we got rail. Then we were able to move things, right? Then we got a reliable electricity. Once we got reliable electricity, we could get manufacturing. Then we had the manufacturing boom, right? Then we had, what's our next source of power? Then we had nuclear power, and something happened, and then we got chips, and then we got Candy Crush, and iPhones, and Teslas. But anyway, power. Every time civilization gets a new source of power, right, the quality of life for everyone in the civilization improves dramatically. So power drives everything. So to not understand it, boom, causes a lot of problems. All right, so that's where we are, right? I'm shifting the way we pitch out of features and benefits and supply and demand. We're going to talk a lot about power because you don't understand power, you don't understand our economy, you don't understand our economy, you don't understand who has money, you don't understand who has money, you don't know where to go for customers or how to position your product and services, and then you definitely don't know how to pitch it. If you're still trying to build a unicorn or some kind of tech company, stop doing that. The unicorn factory is closed. If you're going to attach an ice rink to your house, ask your wife so you don't have marital problems for a year or more. I mean, that's just, I don't know how I would know that, but listen, who needs another podcast? There's a reason that you would listen to a podcast. There's a reason I would listen to a podcast. One of the reasons I'm doing this is as I'm listening to podcasts, I'm just not hearing things that I would want to hear. So I'm trying to talk about things that I would want to hear myself. So this way, SmartList is a podcast. The reason you listen to SmartList, right, is because they have celebrities. If SmartList did not have celebrities, it would not be a podcast, right? Listen to those three yahoos talk about nothing. Everybody's like, oh, I love the way you talk about nothing. No, you don't. If they didn't have Clint Eastwood on there or Ryan Reynolds and every other celebrity, you would not listen to those yahoos talk about burning their mouth on pizza or dinging their car, backing up into a garbage can. The reason you listen to a podcast is it has a celebrity or celebrities on it, and you get a look inside their lifestyle. That's one kind of podcast. Here's another podcast you listen to is Ben Shapiro, right? Because Ben Shapiro provides a point of view and an assessment of the news within frameworks so you can understand why the war in Gaza is happening, where Iran's position is in the world, why the U.S. doesn't attack Iran, why we have not funded Ukraine for more munitions, why Ukraine is not the angelic golden child that CNN portrays it to be, and is what is actually happening in the economy of Russia, and how long will they be able to maintain? Like, that's what Ben Shapiro does, is puts that on context, right? I love that, listening to it, and I got to put up with his point of view in order to get his frameworks for understanding global geopolitics and our own local politics. So that's two kinds of podcasts. Another kind of podcast is Joe Rogan. You can listen to Joe Rogan. Again, he has subject matter experts that are articulate. One of the apologies I have to make is some of the guests I've booked in the past. Good people, very successful, but not articulate in the business they're in. So the podcast is you have celebrities or subject matter experts, or you have comedians, or just funny. Hey, I like listening to the comedian, right? Or you have somebody who did something that's amazing. I climbed up Mount Kilimanjaro. I lost my arm. I climbed down using one arm, whatever, and I got to the bottom, and I found my arm, and I sewed it back on, and hallelujah, right? Oh my God, what was it like, right? So somebody who went through this incredible experience. That's another reason you have podcasts. And the last reason is, you have somebody like me who does this stuff every day. And all I'm trying to do is find a way to share with you exactly how I am coloring by numbers into $100 million. And $100 million might not be your exact goal, whether it's $10 million, $1 million, $5 million. You can come invest with me or ride along with me in the content to see exactly how I'm building those returns and exactly how I'm using Pitch Anything to do it. There is no way I would have access to any of this lifestyle, any of these economics, all of the wonderful things I have. We live in Southern California, so we've got this big building here that we have the headquarters of West Coast Finance in. All the people I know, none of that would exist without the skills in Pitch Anything. So let me hand you those skills, or just invest alongside of me and benefit from me using those skills. That's, I think, the fourth reason you have a podcast. All right, we're going to wrap up here today. I would just like to tell you, but also myself, welcome back, Cotter. We're all over it. Okay, see you guys next time, and we are out of here. Thanks to our sponsor, me.